myself, but more important, I want to tell you who I want to be. I was born between the Korean War and the Cold War. McDonald's had yet to sell its first billion burgers. Muhammad Ali was still Cassius Clay. Rock and roll was king, and Elvis had yet to leave the building. Some key events I remember: the death of John F. Kennedy and all the conspiracy that surrounded it, the Vietnam War and the way it consumed my childhood. I remember the Gemini space rockets as they would carry their one-man payload into space, followed by the Apollo moon mission, which carried 3 men to the moon and back. But the warmest, or the fondest memories I have were of my grandma's house. We used to hop in the car and head south of town to this ramshackle little house that was perched on the edge of a bluff overlooking a creek. My 2 older brothers and I would always run out of the car and go down to the creek and do what boys do in the water, and later on come back up to Grandma's house. But the highlight of the evening was gathering around Grandma's little television and watching the Ed Sullivan Show. So for you younger folks, the Ed Sullivan Show was a variety show, and it was just that. Ed had a real variety of entertainers on there, but the most famous of all were the Beatles. And when they took that stage for the first time, whether for good or for bad, I won't argue, but they changed the world. I witnessed black and white TV turning to color. I watched as records turned into tapes, then into CDs, and now iPods. I watched my mom cook with cast iron pots and pans. Today we have plastic utensils that we can stick in the oven and they won't even melt. And then there was this pesky little thing called a slide rule. And I can't begin to describe the frustration that I experienced trying to master that little device, only to find that once I did, it was obsolete. The slide rule eventually evolved into what we have today known as the computer. And I'm not happy to say that the frustration I experienced with that slide rule has only magnified itself with the frustration I have with the computer. I used to dream about starting a business, flying airplanes, learning to use my hands to make things, traveling to a far-off land like Africa. I believed in God, but I needed to hear from Him. And of course, like every boy, I wanted to find a beautiful girl and live happily ever after. Well, I can honestly say that all those things have happened in my life. And yes, I did marry the girl of my dreams. And for over 20 years now, we've lived quite happily together, and we have 2 teenage boys. And I'm believing that as time goes on, the ever after part is going to follow. That being said, what's left? Well, the most productive period of time in a man's life is between the age of 50 and 70. And that's encouraging to me because I'm right there at the beginning of that time period. And I know that there's not an assurance of even one more day of life. None of us have that, but if statistics hold true and God grants me a full lifespan, then I've got 20 more years. And this is what I want you to remember, that in those years, I want to be a man not who continues to dream and chase after dreams, but one who builds on the life experiences I've already lived. Someone once said, it's not the years in a man's life that matter, but the life in a man's years. I want to be somebody who helps other people attain their goals and live out their dreams just as I've been able to do. And I believe that being an effective public speaker is crucial in doing that, and that being a member of this group of you people right here is the first big step I take in walking out my lifelong adventure. Thank you.